tell you, boy, this Nico, for my money, for being a virtual unknown and the bad boy of the vintage audio world, it is just absolutely amazing to me, the sound quality that comes out of here, especially on my beautiful cathedral speaker back here on the right side. I don't have balance, but I do love that speaker. Welcome in for part two. Part one overview the unit and gave some of the interesting history of Nico, which I call the bad boy of electronics in Japan, by virtue of the fact that they sort of went against the tide of laying off employees when times got tough, and it came down really, very hard on them, to the point that they needed to basically almost put the company into bankruptcy, where it was picked up by the Rothschilds and reconfigured their investment group. So let's start by detailing some of the things that need to be addressed. First and foremost, when I'm using auxiliary inputs like an MP3 player or something like that, I'm not getting anything out of one side. And number two, it's like somebody plugged something into the aux. I don't know whether some kid stuck something in, might have broken a connection behind. We're not going to know until we open it up, but there's something jammed in. I'll show you what I'm talking about here, but we have to get that back. We got to do a little cosmetic cleanup. We may have to look at some of the electrolytic capacitors. I'm not a part changer per se. I think just because something is old doesn't mean that you attack it and start changing out parts. There's too many people that do a lot of damage when they do that. So I'm kind of like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of person. When I get these units, I do what's called reformulating the electrolytic capacitors. I slowly bring the power up on the unit, and over a period of days, I'll slowly increase the power that gives the electrolytic capacitors a chance to, what we do, reform or come back to life. And by and large, it seems to work pretty well. So I'm excited about that. This is a hell of a unit. This can drive two sets of speakers here. You can have an A set, a B set, or you can have both of them running, which is great. It has a low pass filter, which will cut out some of the lower frequencies, and a high pass, which will cut out some of the higher frequencies, bass and treble, volume. You have multiple inputs of tape player, phonograph. You have AM, FM. You also have balance. You can also input a microphone and use it as a public address system too. So very interesting. We have FM muting, which means instead of getting a lot of static between stations, that it will just pick out the good stations and then bring them forward, and you won't get a lot of that static. But let's see, let's open her up inside and take a look here. And glad to have you guys along today. Let's get to it. Those of you who are all gaga over Marantz and H.H. Scott and Macintosh, look at the build quality on this. Just look at the amazing build quality. It's got triple fuse protection here. Normally you'll have one fuse for the whole unit. I don't see any problem with any of the electrolytic capacitors here. They don't look bulgy. They don't look bad. It just seems to be such a well-made unit. It's got the modular packs it's got huge heat sinks, so you could run this thing at really high volume for long periods of time without roasting the unit here. And I'm just really amazed. It's the first time I've really opened this up. It looks like I'm going to turn this around and see what our tuner, variable capacitor tuner looks like here. I don't know how many gangs it has. Yeah, look at that. It's just no cheesy setup on there at all. So I'm super impressed with the quality. But if we look back here, if you take a look here, you'll see that something is jammed in there, which means effectively I can't even use the auxiliary for inputs. It looks like somebody stuck a piece of wood in there or something. So I have no idea what the hell that's about, but that's the first thing we have to do, is get that out of there carefully without that. It's not going to be as easy as you think, because it's way down below. We might end up having to just take a a drill and so slowly just go through and drill that out. I'm not quite sure if there's going to be a way to punch that through the back, but I'm going to do a big inspection before I do anything. Now, just as an aside, somebody asked me about the antenna here on the Rancho, and I just put up a big internal one, and this, of course, is the AM ferrite carbon antenna, but this thing is so sensitive. This tuner picks up tremendous signals even without an antenna on it. So I just slapped this thing up real quick. You can mount an external ribbon antenna on there, and this thing would give super high performance. I've been incredibly impressed with the number of signals that I can bring in. There again is to drive your multiple sets of speakers. I love the inputs where you can just press the button and put the speaker wire in. That works beautifully there. I mean, I'm just super impressed with not only the build quality, but how clean this unit looks. I'll of course give it a bit of a blow job here with the compressed air to clean it up and get some of the dust off of it to aid in cooling. But wow, I love this unit. I'm using a Duster 100% ozone safe dust and lint remover. And I find that this does a really good job. Look at the classy way they mounted those two huge filter capacitors, one for the left channel and one for the right. Beautiful. We're going to have to get in there and lubricate these controls too. We'll probably have to take the bottom off to do that, but one thing at a time. Let's see if we can get this addressed, this blockage here. Okay, here we go. I've got my drill here. I'm going to drill a very tiny bit here. I'm not going to take out the whole size of it. I have no idea what that material it is. It looks like somebody just jammed, maybe a kid or something, just jammed something in the back. I want to go nice and easy. You can see the material I'm bringing out there, and I'm not sure if you can, but this is insane here. I'm kind of working it around a little bit too. And now I'm going to think I've got like a little dental pick or something like that, so I'm going to see if I can work in there and get a grip on that and pull it out. This is a really good thing to have when you're doing rebuilding here, these little picks. Let's give it a try. Check it out, what came out on the end there. I don't know if the camera's going to be able to focus on that. But I'll put it down here, we can take a look at it. Somebody definitely jammed something in there. We got it out. Had to have been a kid goofing around with it, but there it is. We're going to test it out now. We got the new input here. Let's see what we got here. We're inputting from the old Samsung.
With Metro by T-Mobile. Get one line of unlimited 5G for just $40.
See how we sound here. We'll play a little White Sand Beyond. Liking the way it's sounding. Did a good job drilling that out, so let's advance this a little bit. Well, looks like we got that problem solved. let's move on. Time to lubricate our controls here. Boom. Here's another thing I noticed with the quality of this build that just blows me away. Look at how easy it is to change light bulbs if they go bad. All integrated circuit on there with the copper. So easy. I've never seen a unit. Everything's always pulling wires out and get things out. I've never seen a unit that is so incredibly well thought out for maintaining it and keeping it nice. Okay, well, we can see our potentiometers down there. That's what's going to need. That's the round golden things there. We're going to need to get them lubricated a little bit, those controls there. I'm going to use deoxide spray here. Please don't use WD-40 or something like that. It will absolutely eat up the plastic in this unit and just render it, well, a boat anchor. So make sure you're using something that's specifically designed for cleaning metal connections and contacts. Okay, just a word to the wise. Now we're going to get in here. You can see there's very small openings. I don't know if you can see it in there. It's a little difficult. I guess we really can't, but there's very tiny openings up in here in the back of these potentiometers. I'm going to try to get some spray in there. Get them lubricated. I'm also going to lubricate the switches. I've got another one here that has a little hole. If I'm lucky, it's going to require two hands, but I can get the lubrication. There's some more switches there. Slide switch. And if I can just work this in right in here, it's going to take two hands. Now I'm going to come around the front side, work these back and forth real well. Bass, put that in the middle. We got our treble. Volume control. Sources for tapes. I didn't see any real issues here with it. This is just a cautionary here and just what should be done when doing this. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to reach that balance control. Might be deep, but I haven't seen any real problem with that, so I'm pretty satisfied with the lubrication there. Let's you can see that these bulbs have gotten a little dirty, so one by one we're not going to put our fingers on them, but we're going to get a soft cloth and clean these off so that they have put even more light at the front. Try not to touch them because you'll definitely shorten the life of them if you get grease from your fingers on them. Guaranteed. Just put them in as we go on down here. It's such a breeze. I'm just shocked how easy that is. All cleaned up all the lights. I've also cleaned up the front. I'm going to clean up the knobs. Here is just a little bit of dirt on them and things, so I want to clean them up a little bit. But wow, once again, I tell you guys, if you're going to invest, and it is an investment in vintage audio, you really want to have things as pristine as they possibly can be, especially the faceplate. The only really minor problem is here is it looks somebody over tightened that with an Allen key, that screw there, and broke that glass, unfortunately. But other than that, that's about it. I don't think that's much of a diminishment of value, but it's not as good as it could be. But I'm satisfied with it. Let's go ahead and button it up and wrap it up. That's going to be a wrap today on what turned out to be a easy restoration, and I think that's a tribute to the build quality of this Nikko NR-1015. Probably for my money, pound for pound, with build quality and fidelity of this unit, I'll tell you, it is a sleeper. And if you are into that vintage audio sound, this would be high up on my list. And I don't think these are, you could probably get these for like $150, maybe $200 in really great condition. And they would probably give you 10 or 15 years of great service. Beautiful looking, clean, very functional. People did repair these units and did upkeep and maintenance, because people did take their units in their stereo AM FM receivers periodically to be serviced and tuned, and this must have been a dream for those guys that did that type of work on these units. Definitely a dying specialty, though. There's not many of us left out there. So I've got everything all cleaned up. The lighting is beautiful. So I'm going to thank you guys for watching today, and I'm going to invite you. There will be one more video. We're going to have the vintage audio listening experience featuring the Nikko NR-1015 and finishing up on the fabled wall of sound. If you're not subscribed, please take a second to hit that subscribe button and hit the bell for all notifications. I have an extremely active channel, as they'll tell you in here, and I'm always doing different things. But one of my passions is certainly vintage audio restoration. Once again, thumbs up are appreciated, and thank you so much for being along today.